listening to Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Greetings.
Hello.
You sounded like so sedate. Like, hello, welcome to our podcast.
I'm trying to sound like my voice is normal and smooth instead of raspy and trying to cough at any given moment. We'll see how long it lasts. Still coughing.
Okay. So before we dive into our side chat this week, let me be the first to remind you that today is the first day of our 2-week coaching enrollment period, where we are now accepting sign-up forms for new clients.
Few things to keep in mind. We have limited capacity.
Always there is a limit to how many people we can take on.
Yes.
So first come, sort of first serve. We will talk to you the earlier you fill out that form.
Yep. And once we hit capacity, that you might have to wait a month or two.
Who knows how long? I don't know
how long. So there is limited capacity, and it's a 6-month coaching experience. That's it. That's your choice. You have one choice because we know that that's what works.
You cannot do coaching, or you can work with us for about 6 months.
We used to do smaller versions. Way back, we did 4 sessions, which was crazy. We never got through.
I forgot that we did that.
Oh yeah.
Because we've been doing it for a decade.
We've done a lot of crazy things.
I forgot how many iterations there have been of what
then we
used
did
to do.
A 2-month option, which there was value in, but it didn't take you all the way through the full experience. So we decided, if you want the full transformation of coaching, you got to do the full thing. That's it. That's all we do anymore. So it's a 6-month commitment on average.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing to keep in mind is this is the last time we are offering coaching at these rates.
Yeah.
We will be increasing our coaching rates.
Yeah.
Next time around, next coaching enrollment.
We're going to have a new website
in the spring.
It's going to be the 10-year anniversary of us becoming coaches. You know, if you want to work with people who've been coaching other people for a decade and get all of the benefit of the wisdom that they have acquired over that decade, well, that just became more valuable, right? You could go coach with, Nancy Joe across the street who's been coaching for 6 months.
No shade to Nancy Joe.
Listen, I was once someone who had been only coaching for 6 months. I would rather work with me now.
Agreed. I would pay more to work with me now.
Yeah, no shade to NJ. So, okay. I'm not going to get into, I can, but I feel like if you've been listening to us, you understand how we operate and how coaching works. You understand that we are not here to solve surface level problems. That is the opposite of what I care about doing.
We're also not here just to get you a new job.
I don't care. To be frank, I would rather you become the kind of person you want to be, and then that person attract all sorts of things into their life that are right for them, including a job or a partner or, money, whatever it is that you're missing. And you might not even know that's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many times I have clients start out with me? This happens all the time. It's happening more recently, I think, that they're like, I honestly don't know if I hate my job or not. I don't know if it's me or the job. I genuinely can't tell. Like, I'm so disconnected from like who I am and what I want and what makes me tick that I'm like, could I love this job? I don't know. But like, I'm not happy and I genuinely can't tell why.
Yeah.
That is the kind of problem that Kristen and I really like solving, because in order to solve that, You can't change anything on the outside. You can't just get a new job and be like, well, let's just try getting you a new job and seeing if that works. No, that's a humongous waste of time.
Yep.
We need to get clear on what's blocking me from being able to be clear on what it is I want. So much deep-seated crap, so much people pleasing, so much childhood baggage, so much fear and limitations and beliefs about what's possible based on, experiences I've had in the past. All of that crap is usually blocking you from being able to see what your options really are and knowing what's going to be a good fit for me and what's not.
Yeah, to be able to make a good choice. That's the most valuable thing I can do for you as a coach, is I can not just help you figure out what to do next. I can help you figure out who you are, how you get in your own way, how to make decisions that are aligned and that are going to make you deeply long-term happy.
What I'm attracted to on a deep level.
And that is going to be something nobody can take away from you.
No, that knowledge will stay with you so that in the future you can keep making decisions. And
so then you're not just a person who's capable of making the next right decision. You're a person who's capable of making a lifetime of right aligned decisions. Right. That's what I want for you. So the process that we take you through is specifically designed for that deeper personal transformation that ends up getting you results that you want, because it couldn't not. That's the only outcome of becoming a more genuine, true, confident, clear,
directed
version of yourself. Is life starts to line up with the new version of you that you've now unleashed. So yes, you'll get all of that, sure. But I'm not interested in the next right step. I'm interested in the next right you.
The best clients I've ever had and the ones I enjoy working with the most are the ones who come in saying, I have no idea what I want, but I know that I want to work on myself and I want to figure out what that person wants. I'm like, hot diggity dog. I don't think I've ever actually said that out loud. But that's what we like.
That's what we're here for.
Because isn't that just common sense? When you say it out loud, doesn't that sound like common sense? Doesn't it make no sense to tell someone who's, I don't know, on a dating app or something like, oh, well, let me help you figure out if like this particular person is right for you. How about we figure out, what do you want, Nancy Joe?
Who are you? What are your preferences? What are your non-negotiables?
What childhood trauma is blocking you from being able to have a deeper conversation with someone and be intimate and vulnerable with them? Like, what if we did that so that you could then, enter back into this experience in a way where you don't need anyone to tell you what to do. You have great discernment all on your own and you know exactly what you want. And you can say like easily bye to anyone who's not working for you or anything that's not working for you.
And you know what ends up happening too? It doesn't just impact one area of your life.
All of them.
I mean, we technically call ourselves career coaches, I guess.
Life and career.
Because that's usually the main question that people are coming to us with.
It's the catalyst of why a lot of people are reaching out to us.
But guess what happens when you become a truer, less fearful, more clear version of yourself? You don't just figure out the job stuff. Your relationships improve. Your habits to keep yourself healthy improve. Everything in your life improves. So if you come in for career stuff, guess what? You're going to get a whole bunch more than just career clarity out of this. That's kind of a nice side effect of doing the deeper work.
Yeah. So I don't know. If you want your life to be completely and utterly overhauled, then that's what we do. And there's a process, and a decade worth of people have been through it before you. And let me assure you, you're probably not the one person it's not going to work on. Okay.
I do always love when I get
that question so often.
I mean, but what about me?
And the people
I
who
have special stuff going, and I'm like,
are always the people who are least likely to have problems.
And early on in coaching, when we were in the first couple of years, I believed it, but I didn't know it in my soul. Like I believed that was true about everyone. I'm like, I've coached thousands of people at this point. I know you're not going to be that one who the whole process of coaching just doesn't work on you.
I've had some outliers. I have. And if I thought you were one of them, I would tell you.
Well, guess why we have a intro conversation?
So that I can make sure you're not one of those like 1 in like 5,000 who I think I can't coach.
And guess what? Those people, I guarantee you, believe coaching was helpful and it was helpful to them.
Even the ones I felt like I couldn't help as much. I don't think they know that they're one of those people. They could be listening to this right now and have no idea.
Changed.
Some of them are spiraling right now thinking it's them. I'm telling you, it's not you.
I have had people who years later, they come back and what seemed like minor changes back when we were coaching have grown and evolved, and they're a completely different person 3 or 4 years from now. That's another cool thing about having coached for so long is you see that seeds you planted 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago with people have grown into something you would have never expected.
I mean, whole people exist now because of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like people, like they changed the course of their life. They met someone, they got married, they had a kid. I mean, like multiple kids. I'm telling you, like there are humans who exist who might not have if Kristen and I hadn't become coaches.
Yeah. So don't think that just the 6 months is all that's happening here. No. We can tell you this is going to be something that
you can't put that genie back in the bottle once it's out.
No. Once you're on that new trajectory, you're on it. And that's going to impact the whole rest of your life, frankly. So not to be dramatic or anything, but it's one of the cool things about having done this thing for so long.
Yeah, I can say that.
I know that with utter faith and
just
certainty.
Confident. Like it's a fact.
A certainty at this point.
So anyway, if you like all the sound of that and you like the idea of like paying less than you would in 4 months when we do this again, then you might want to talk to us, in which case fill out a form. It's in the show notes, or you can just go to clarityonfire.com, go to the work with us tab. Make sure you review the whole page first and then fill out that form. And one of us will talk to you. Now, again, first come, first served, and we have a limited number of spots. So if we get a lot of people filling that out all at once, or, we just reach our capacity, we will let you know. And we might have to schedule a call with you later on, or just kind of give you like a wait list sort of situation, whatever. All we're saying is, if you like the idea, then sitting on your butt is not going to behoove you.
No.
Okay.
We'll remind you of this for the next 2 weeks because it is open for a full
February
2 weeks. 4th. But again, first come, first serve. So might as well jump on it if you are pretty sure you want to do this thing.
Okay.
So now we'll actually get into the side chat.
in one of our episodes that we did in December, I think it could have been Dear Rachel. It could have been an episode in December. I can't remember which one it was. And who frankly cares? We touched on, and I said, we need to have a full episode about this. The difference between the pain of growth and the pain of like stagnation. So like why
or misalignment.
Sort of like, I'm in pain and I can't figure out if it's because something's wrong or because something's going right, but it just hasn't worked out yet. Like I'm growing. How the heck do we know the answer to that? I think this was probably in our December episode when you and I did our year-end kind of review. I think it was in the one that came out on December 17th, your birthday.
Probably. Yeah.
I think that sounds right. Whatever. So I genuinely haven't thought about this is a real side chat in that we sat down with an idea and have literally not discussed it until right now. This could be very messy.
It will be a little bit messy, at least, because there isn't a clear-cut answer here. It's a messy topic because there's no rules that we can put around it and say, here is how you specifically identify pain that is from growth versus pain that is from a indicator something's wrong and you need to make a big change. It's not always clear cut. So we're going to give you our best ways of recognizing it and
that occur to us now. There could be better ones that don't occur to us now.
Sure. But just know, sometimes you don't know until afterward. And that's not a fun answer.
I just rolled my eyes at her. I know. I am very displeased with you saying that.
And I'm not saying all the time. Sometimes there is a strong understanding ahead of time why the pain is happening. So we'll talk about those, but I also just want to let you know, there's times I can look back in my life when I was deeply dissatisfied or unhappy. And it seemed like it was just something was very wrong. And then I realized later I was growing and it was catalyzing me into something else. But I would never have told you that when I was in it. I'm thinking of my job that I quit right before starting a business, that I was miserable. I was probably borderline depressed going in there every single day, at least situationally.
Yeah.
Because I so hated what I was doing. It was completely misaligned. And I would have told you that pain was just about, I hate this and I want to leave. I have to also admit now, years later,
was a catalyst.
That pain was a catalyst. And if I had been in a
mediocre,
better job, maybe even not a great job, but a better job, I might not have had a fire under me to get this business going.
Yes.
In the way we did. And it might have taken a lot longer. It might not have ever happened. So I have to now be honest with myself that was needed pain for a bigger growth spurt, like spiritual growth spurt. Well, that's why it's not super clear.
Well, I don't like pain. I've never liked being in pain. That's why I hate working out.
This is one thing we have in common. We have very, very low pain tolerance.
Very low.
Yes. Mine extends into physical pain tolerance, all of it. Any discomfort, I can't.
That's why I hate exercise. I'm like, why would I put myself in pain on purpose? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And that's probably most people to some extent.
People really like working out. They're like, oh, I love that. Like pushing myself. I'm like, no,
I don't get that at all.
No, I don't. I don't want to be in pain ever. Okay. Well, that's annoying that you're like, well, but sometimes pain is a catalyst for growth. I know that, but you're like, you can't know it. So one thing that you're saying is that it's a decision. You like what you just said is part of how you can relate to pain is deciding how you feel about it. And that is what makes it valuable or not. Because if you're just sitting there going, I hate this, this sucks, there's no point, that's pain for no reason, right? But if you decide, okay, I'm in pain, I hate it, it sucks, and I think this might be serving a purpose, then it does. Like how you feel about it and what words you use to describe it and how you choose to think about it, make it so, right? Like you can make the pain purposeful if you decide it has a purpose, which is close to spiritual bypassing. Like there's a little bit of a problem with that. Like there's a line.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, like I'm in pain and it's going to serve a purpose. And it's almost like I'm going to try not to feel it by leaning into, oh, this must have a purpose and this must be serving me in some way. Both two things can be true. You can both feel how you feel and like honor and be honest about how much something sucks. And on the same hand, on the same token, go, and I think this might be serving me.
Okay. So then that's making me think, and this might be a bold statement, so I'm not sure if I believe this yet. I'm talking it out as I go.
Okay.
I am now wondering if pain is always a catalyst, but it's up to you to decide, if you use it as such.
To decide if it becomes one.
Yes. Because I could have just wallowed in that and just become bitter and become angry and started to drink a lot and numb out. And I could have drank a lot of wine just to numb out how much I hated my job. People do it.
Asterisk, more wine than you already were.
Correct.
That $2 Chuck.
That's a route that I could have taken. I could have said, I hate this, but I have to work because that's what you do. And I'm just going to numb out how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And it had the potential to be a catalyst for me to really figure out what I wanted to do instead, but I didn't have to use it.
So it's a catalyst if you decide it is.
And even pain of growth is a catalyst to keep growing, but you could also say, ouch, I don't like this, and run back to your comfort zone.
What if? Hold on to your butts on this one. I think this is butt holding worthy, but I could be completely wrong. What if the pain of stagnation is you neglecting to choose to see it in another way.
Whoa.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what if the reason you're in the pain of, I hate this isn't going anywhere, it sucks, is because you're neglecting to make a choice to see the pain through a different light.
And allow it to be the catalyst it's trying to be. I can see both of our faces. We're trying to figure out if this is something that fits. I'm sure there's exceptions.
Welcome to Rachel and Kristen's philosophy corner. I just feel like we're just having a philosophical debate, and I don't even know if we don't have to have answers.
No, we're just
musing.
Yeah, we're just throwing it out there, talking it out as we go.
So I think, okay, so like life is pain, Highness, and anyone who tries to tell you different is telling you something.
Yep. We all know this is true from Princess Bride.
Yeah. So like you're going to be in pain. Life is going to serve you up pain. Okay. That's unavoidable. You're going to lose people. Your condo is going to flood. And
you're going to get sick.
You're going to have to be forced to move out when you don't want to.
You're going to experience things that you don't like to experience that are wrong.
You're going to
you need to figure that out, what you do want.
You're going to get laid off from your job. Like you are not going to be able to live a long life, a rich life, if you are not often in pain.
And frankly, you wouldn't have the best experience.
No, you would not.
Because you would never experience pain. You'd be bored and you would never have contrast and you would not have appreciation.
Pain is valuable because when you are, and by pain, I mean anything that feels uncomfortable, like sadness, grief.
You would never be vulnerable with anybody.
Right.
Because that is uncomfortable. So everything would be surface level. And
you would be barely
bland.
Existing. You would be existing, not living.
This is like for those of you, and I've coached many of you who hate and are afraid of anger. You can't live a full life without experiencing the emotion of anger.
No, because you won't honor because anger is usually upset because someone has like stepped over your boundaries or you're upset because your needs haven't been met. Anger is a valuable tool and signifier that something deeper is going on.
And ignoring it is deeply unhealthy. Same is true about pain.
Dishonoring your human experience.
Any of the negative side of the emotional spectrum is all valuable, even though we don't like it.
Okay.
So if we know that we're going to experience anger and pain and betrayal and sadness and alone, we're going to experience all of this discomfort, then we can't act like it's all bad. We can't act like...
Is this us basically acting like we just invented pain is inevitable, suffering is optional?
Maybe. Maybe.
Do we believe that?
I don't believe suffering is always optional. I think sometimes when you're in a lot of pain, you're going to suffer and there's no problem with the experience of suffering.
Nor should you try not to.
I think what I'm saying, wallowing is optional.
Yeah.
Wallowing in pain. That is torture.
Extensive suffering is optional. Yeah. Okay. So pain is inevitable. Suffering is probably going to happen. Torture, not totally necessary.
Yes.
Yeah. So when does pain become torture?
A few things. When it feels never ending.
Absolutely. I can CC you on an episode from February 2021. Jesus, I have to use 2021 in the past tense now.
Still weird.
We had an episode, I think it was February 2021. You know, I'm almost always right about when I quote.
I'm sure you are.
About how to create your own light at the end of the tunnel. And that was an episode specifically about one of the most torturous things about like not getting what you want is not, or really the most torturous experiences of life is not knowing when something ends. Like you can endure most anything if you know when it's going to end. So yes, pain becomes torture when something feels interminable. So having a deadline, having a due date, saying, I don't give a shit like what happens between now and 6 months, but somehow, some way I am deciding this situation ends on this date 6 months from now.
Or even just knowing, let's say you're in grief, knowing that
in 6 months I will feel better.
Does not last forever.
Right.
I don't know when it's going to subside. or when I'll feel more light and hopeful again, but I know that the experience of grief doesn't go on forever.
Right.
So even knowing that a situation or an emotion or whatever will end can make it feel less like torture. But if you don't believe that, if you believe it's not ever going to end, that is torture. So we need, first and foremost, to listen to that old episode about creating your own light at the end of the tunnel. If you also feel helpless, I think that's another form of torture.
Yes.
When it feels like something's happening to you and you have no say or no ability to do anything, which you always have an ability to do something. So that's where we
the
can.
The kind of people listening to this podcast are not typically in the state of true powerlessness and true victimhood. Like they do have some choices, even if they don't like any of their choices at the moment. Right.
Yep. Exactly.
Like I can bitch all I want about my condo situation. And I am at the effect of, flood and other people's negligence. And it has pissed me the fuck off, as it has a right to. But am I a true victim? No, because I do have choices.
Yes.
Like I have to like it, but I do have choices, which makes me feel less tortured.
Yeah.
Because I
doesn't mean you're not suffering sometimes.
Exactly. And I could choose to see this through a lens of, why is this happening to me? What have I done wrong? And I would be lying if I said I haven't had those thoughts, because I have. What have I done to deserve this? But if I stay there, that's when it becomes torture. That's when it becomes torture.
Yep.
Is when I neglect to acknowledge my own power and resourcefulness, my own ability to get myself the fuck out of my situation or to ask for help. Right? Like that is torture when you decide that something's not going to work. And like you already written off, like, well, I can't get out of this, or this is never going to end. That's torture.
Yeah. When you've given up hope.
Yes.
When you feel helpless and or have given up hope, that's when suffering turns into torture.
And that's when you stop growing.
Yep.
That's right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have hope, you're not growing. You're stagnating. Stagnating is nothing is changing because I'm not changing.
Now, I think what might be a better question then, on the other side of this conversation, a better question is, how do I know when pain means I need to make a change versus the pain that says I'm already on the right path? It's just uncomfortable.
Sure.
Because what we've just decided is that you get to determine if pain is just torture and miserable and pointless, or it is a catalyst and it's going to bring you somewhere better on the other side. You always have that choice.
How you choose to see it, the story you
what
choose
is it
to
a
tell
catalyst
about
for?
Yes.
How do I know when it's a catalyst for something needs to change drastically?
And
or I need to push through this because I'm in the middle of the transformation and getting off the path is actually going to stall it.
Yeah.
I'm on the right path.
Right.
I think that's the question, maybe.
I agree.
Okay.
So one filter question that I would ask to help you clarify, am I in the middle of a transformation and I'm just in pain, but I need to stay the course, versus I'm in pain because I have been denying my own power and I am maybe feeling at the effect of the world and I'm stagnating and I'm not growing. I'm kind of focusing more on that, like how to figure out if it's like, if it's that. I think that's more important to recognize.
Yeah.
If it's that. Okay. So I guess I would ask, how long has it been since I've made a change? Like, how long have I been sitting around complaining about this and not made any significant effort to do something different? I've had clients who have come to me after years of complaining about the same job. Right. And then going to me was like the big thing that they decided to do differently, to introduce a different variable into the equation. And because they introduced a different variable, all of a sudden the formula changes and the results can change. So how long you've been tolerating the same thing without a change is, I think, a pretty huge indication of what kind of pain you're in. Because I can't tell, if I look back on 2020 and 2021, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of it looks like chaos, but so much has happened that I have been in constant evolution. Have I not?
Oh, yes. And
you've seen me and you be in the state of pain because nothing is changing. Like you and I have been in the pain of stagnation before, and it has felt like the doldrums. It has felt like I am on a sea that is not rocking at all. It just feels like every day is the same. There's almost no energy. There's nothing, there's no contrast. There's nothing happening. And it's like that to me is more of a sign that you're stagnating. If things are happening in your life, it just feels a little bit out of control. It feels kind of chaotic. It might be that you're growing and you're stretching and you're just feeling like, oh my God, I'm scared of how quickly things are happening and how life is evolving.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you're feeling completely lackluster and like this monotony and this beigeness, that's probably one good indicator that what needs to happen is a change. What needs to happen is we need to move in a new direction because we've plateaued here. No growth is happening in the plateau. You feel a plateau.
And you can be plateaued in misery, not just beige mediocrity.
Yeah, you can be plateaued low down.
Every day is awful. It's also a bad plateau, but it's a plateau.
If it's more just overwhelming and things happening quickly and you wanting to just pause like that kind of frantic, that might mean, and I don't think that this is a prescription. I can already see exceptions as I'm saying it, but I do think that's often more of a sign of growth.
Yes.
It's a sign of rapid evolution that's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so the pain you're trying to avoid is, this is all happening so quickly, versus the pain of, is this it? Is this all I can expect?
Yeah. I really think it gets down to time. I do. Because I'm thinking of clients right now who, like, I have a client who's newer to like self-employment, and she's doing that thing that you and I know well, which is she launched a course and she got like a few people to sign up, and then she threw her hands up before the launch period was over and was this isn't working. And I'm
how many times have we been there? I know it.
And she's like, I must be doing something wrong. And I'm like, whoa. Is it not working or is it not working yet? By the way, I have a podcast episode called that, which I will also link to. I can't remember when that one's from, but I will list the date in the show notes for you. Like if you've recently made a change and you are experimenting with something and you're in pain because it feels like it's not working, there is a great chance that it's just you haven't given it enough time to shake out yet, right?
You're in the middle of growth.
Right.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
But you don't know where you're growing to yet.
Right.
But things are moving, things are happening.
Right.
This is not necessarily a sign to get off the path.
Right. Again, whereas if it's been a long time that you've been saying the same thing, doing the same thing, and like
feeling the same way.
Right. I don't care if it's misery. I don't care if it's anxiety. I don't care if it's overwhelm. I don't care if it's numbness. But like if you've been feeling the same way and complaining about the same things over and over consistently, then I think you're probably in the pain of stagnation, not the pain of growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
And in hindsight, you might one day be grateful that you did stagnate for a while, because that without that catalyst,
again, pain is a catalyst.
Right. So so what we're saying is that you're going to be in pain. Sometimes it's going to be because it's a little bit self-inflicted because of how you're seeing it, or because you keep reinforcing a story that keeps you stuck. I can't make a change and now you feel like a victim or you feel miserable. And so now you're in pain. Everyone gets there. Everyone does that. But eventually it becomes torture when you keep letting it happen and you don't decide to use it as a catalyst. Yes. It's your choice to use pain as a catalyst or not. It's not your choice whether you end up in pain.
And if you have decided pain is a catalyst, if that's something that you decide is a true statement in your life, I believe that, then what you will end up doing is when you experience pain, you won't see it as a problem. You'll see it as a needed, even if challenging, unpleasant part of life that is asking something of you. It's either asking you to make a change or it's asking you to keep going because we're growing and something valuable is on the other side of the pain.
And sometimes you can't know that and you just have to decide it's the growing one, right? That's how I feel right now. I have a choice about how I want to see a lot of the chaos that I've been through in the last 6 months. I could easily tell a story about how everything has gone wrong and what am I doing wrong and why am I a match to this level of chaos? And that would become torture if I chose to see it that way. I am choosing to believe I'm growing, I'm changing, I'm evolving. And because I'm choosing to see it that way, I think that's what will be true. Me believing that is what will make it true.
And I want to make, because you mentioned this before, and I want to just really clearly make the distinction between what we're talking about here and actual spiritual bypassing. So spiritual bypassing is essentially gaslighting yourself into thinking you're not having the experience that you're having. Spiritual bypassing would be you saying, this is all great. This is all a wonderful opportunity. Instead of recognizing how you really feel, which is, I hate that this is happening.
I hate it.
I wish this wasn't happening. But you know what? Since it is happening, I'm going to be as empowered as I can to make the choices that I can to make this as valuable of an experience as I can, even if I wish it wasn't happening.
Right.
That is becoming like the phrase that's coming to mind is like a change agent in your own life. I don't know if it's like a silly phrase, but deciding I can do something about this versus convincing yourself everything's sunshine and roses all the time. That is what we are not saying.
Spiritual bypassing would be denying the human experience. Whereas what we're saying is you have to make room for the human experience and the spiritual experience.
Yep.
The human experience is this is pain and it sucks. And I'm not going to try to pretend like I don't hate it or that I don't feel like shit some days or that I wish it wasn't happening. That's human. The spiritual experience is and, not but, because we're not going to negate that. We're going to go and it's up to me to decide if this might end up being useful to me in some way. And maybe there is a lesson here. And maybe there is something I can do differently. And maybe there is something this is trying to teach me. And again, I don't even have to like that. But in order to not be in pain, in order for your pain to be useful, I think you have to ask those questions and engage as opposed to just
this
shut
is
down.
About taking agency even over situations that you don't like versus being in denial. That's not what we're asking you to be.
Like, unfortunately, and this is another coaching cliche, the only real power we ever have is how we see something.
It's like, one of the things that sets human apart from because we have the ability to observe ourselves in the situation and change our thought.
Yeah. But if you have a hard time doing that, that's okay. You're human. Also, that's what coaches are for, by the way.
Yes.
Like, just to wrap it up on a coaching note.
Yes.
Like, no one's expecting you. It took us 10 years. It took me 10 years to get to the point where I'm capable of having my life fall apart and me be like, well, I hate it, but all right, let's see what happens. If this had happened to me 5 years ago, you bet your ass I would be reacting very badly. Like, it takes a lot of work to get to this point. So like, no shame if it's hard for you. We can work on that if you'd like to.
I mean, that is why coaches exist. It's why personal development books exist. It's why all these resources exist to help you take what life throws at you and turn it into something that feels the best it can for you. That's what, that's all we can do.
Take your shit and use it make it fertilizer.
Yep.
You can walk around with shit on your shoes or and smelling, not helpful, not useful, not doing anything. Or we can spread that around and grow some shit out of your shit.
So if you want some help turning your shit to fertilizer,
that's what we do.
We're spiritual gardeners. I was just going to say that.
I mean, obviously that's where that was going. That's not a jinx moment. Okay. Wow.
Just to bring it full circle.
That was a true side chat.
It was. I did not know where that was going to go.
Conversation.
But yeah, I mean, I love a good philosophy
It could have been profound or it could have been Duh. Or it could have been confusing. Depending on who you are, you might have had any or all of those experiences.
That's all fine. But in my experience, aren't most of the kind of philosophical truths,
they don't have answers.
But
that's not the point.
But they also seem kind of obvious at the same time. It's like you come to some understanding. That's what I hear from clients all the time, actually, in coaching. That is so simple.
But why didn't I think of it before?
I guess it didn't really occur to me, or I never thought of it in that way. And there's like this light bulb moment. So clarity is usually simple.
Oh, that sounds like someone threw a snowball out the window. But...
It sounded like an emphasis.
No, that was just snow falling. Okay. We got to wrap this up because I got places to be today.
People to see.
If you want to, no people to see.
People to talk to, not see.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I have people to coach. Okay. So if you are in pain and you would like to turn your pain into fertilizer,
you believe it's a catalyst, but you're not sure what it's catalyzing you toward. Right. Well, okay. We can help you figure that out.
If you'd like to use it as fuel.
Yes.
Which is what fertilizer is. It's fuel for the earth.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you'd like to use your pain as fuel rather than just it be a tool of your own suffering that's not serving any purpose, hit me up. Reach out to us in the form in the show notes and we will chat with you about coaching and make sure it's a good fit, because rest assured, neither one of us wants to work with you if it's not a good fit.
Yeah, we're not going to push you into anything. I promise. We want
the opposite. Sometimes I try to convince people not to do it and then they still do it. But I'm like, all right, well, you really wanted it. So you know what you're getting into, you know?
No, we really, I mean, at this point in our coaching career, we want to work with the people who are committed and who are here to do the work and are going to have the biggest transformations. It's what makes it fun for us too. So we'll have a conversation with some of you. This is the first day. You have 2 weeks, but just remember, first come, first serve.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back
next Friday.
Oh, because it's a short month. Message from the universe time. I'll be using a different deck.
First one of 2022.
Yeah, I'm using a different deck. We're gonna get that deep freeze card.
I had a client tell me, I guarantee you, if you use another deck, you're still somehow gonna get the deep freeze.
No. Well, come find out next Friday.
See you then.